Hi guys, Rob here. Make sure to stick around to the end of the episode for our interview with Kristian Mercado, director of If You Were the Last, starring Anthony Mackie and Chao. Enjoy the review, enjoy the show, enjoy the interview, and see you next year. Bye!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Every Movie Ever podcast. My name is Ben Groves.
And my name is Rob McFarlane. Welcome to the show where two best friends with awful mental health examine movies instead of themselves for once. Helps us stop overthinking. And, it's kind of part movie analysis, part self-analysis, and all fun.
And it's Christmas.
And it's Christmas. But in the spirit of that, I feel like it's more important that I ask, before I get to what we're doing, how are you doing, Ben? Ben, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Yeah?
I'm doing pretty good. I went to go see Godzilla -1.
Ooh, very nice.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah?
It's a fucking belter. Obviously, we're not here to talk about it, but go watch it. It's incredible. It's a war movie, essentially. There were parts where I forgot it was Godzilla film. Good. And then just, boom, Godzilla. I was like, oh, shit, yeah. That's what I'm here for. I've got a new hyperfixation.
What, besides 70s blaxploitation cinema?
Yes, I've moved on slightly. It wasn't blaxploitation, it like exclusively.
Right,
it was just exploitation films.
Right, okay. What's your new hyperfixation?
Craig Zahler.
Ah. Is this going to be our
3 movies?
Okay. Have you already pushed that button? Are we already doing it?
Yeah, buddy. It's already in the fucking timeline, bud.
Oh, God. Okay.
Telling you. It's incredible. Yeah. But it's good, man. I'm actually having a bit of time to sort of see family, get some shit done around the house, get some fucking movies in me. You know what I mean, man?
Right.
Consume. I'm consuming. How are you, man?
I work in a restaurant over the Christmas period, Ben.
Yeah, fuck that, mate. Jesus Christ. I'd rather set myself on fire and then piss myself whilst just after the fire's gone out. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Just play late.
The one thing that might have helped.
So we keep making the food. Like we run out of food, and then everything we make just goes out the door. So it's fine. It's fine. It has to be fine. I'm not that dog in the house on fire. I'm looking forward to Christmas. I'm looking forward to the fact that we're a tiny, tiny, tiny bit ahead of schedule. Which means
buddy.
If we get this edited and clipped and promoted quick enough, there's a chance that Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day, you and I can just relax.
We're off, mate. It's a little 3-day holiday.
Our lives are still very much on fire. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, but we're trying to focus on the positive because it's Christmas. Santa's coming. We're trying to be nice.
We'll put a Christmas hat on.
I should have put my fucking Christmas hat on. That's annoying.
You have a Christmas hat.
Yeah, obviously. I've got a Christmas sweater as well. I should have worn that. It's Mike Tyson and it says Merry Christmas.
I'm wearing my Christmas sweater.
Oh, yeah.
Me at work.
Oh, I don't know where mine is, man. I don't know where mine is. Fuck it.
What are we doing today, Ben?
Buddy, we were lucky enough recently to have Kristian Mercado reach out to us via email and say, hey, do you want to watch my new film? And normally, that sentence fills me with dread because the amount of stuff that we get sent, and it's like, this is lovely. Yeah. Very well done. No.
I think quite a lot of what we're sent are people whose ambition outstrips their ability, budget, talent,
But this is like in no way a bad thing because I'm very much of the belief that you fucking shoot for the stars at every given opportunity that you get, right? So we're incredibly grateful for it. We just can't cover everything on the show because obviously...
Keep sending them, and if you don't hear back from us, your film is dog water. This is what Ben is saying.
Okay, that's an awful sentiment to say. No,
that's what Ben's saying.
It normally fills me with dread because I have to then go back and be sort of like, we can't cover it, I'm sorry. And that makes me feel fucking awful. Yeah. But Kristian Mercado got in touch and was like, hey, my film, If You Were the Last, do you want to give it a watch? And I watched the trailer and I was like, is that fucking Anthony Mackie? Ooh. Is that fucking Zoe Chao? So immediately go back and I'm just sort of like, buddy, thank you for this. 100% we'll give it a watch. And we did. So we've watched If You Were the Last, starring Anthony Mackie and Zoe Chao, and it was fucking
incredible.
Genius,
it was an
mate.
Incredible film.
Yeah.
I, like you, was reluctant. We've been sent a couple things where like the CGI has just been Adobe Premiere presets of like Explosion 6. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a certain charm to that if you lean into it, which we're going to get into
100%.
Because in this film, somebody leans into stuff in more ways than one. This one was an absolute delight. It was an absolute delight to watch. Came out in 2023.
It did.
And honestly, it's the best Christmas present we could have asked for. A director reaching out to us and agreeing to do an interview.
He has agreed to do an interview with us. Stick around until the end of the episode where you can catch that in full.
We didn't ask him the budget because we are fucking gentlemen. That's what
we're classy bitches. Yeah. All right, we're classy bitches. We're not gold diggers. We don't chase the cash. It doesn't matter.
We really need to sort the latency so we can sing together, man.
Absolutely not. I think the 3-second delay, like harmonizing.
Okay, yeah.
I say harmonizing. It's what I live for at this point. So Kristian Mercado reached out to us. We've watched If You Were the Last. This whole episode is devoted to that. But bear in mind, it's at this point in time, it is a hidden gem of a movie. Hidden gem. It's streaming it's on Peacock.
Peacock, yeah. Go
fill your boots with it. We're going to try our hardest not to spoil it.
We are.
But it's difficult because we get so excited about stuff. But on an agreement that we'll make with each other and with you, we're not going to react to it if we do spoil it, because then that way you don't know it's a spoiler. You're welcome.
I'll keep throwing in red herrings as well.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. That bit where they're on fire,
fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That a spoiler? Yeah. Was it? In the interest of you knowing what the hell we're talking about later on in the episode, and getting a sense of the film we're recommending to you, though, we are about to talk about a little bit of what happens, the premise, some of the later developments, stuff like that. So we've got a firm recommendation. If that's enough for you, pause it here, go watch the movie, and come back. And if you'd like to know more, stick around because we're about to spoil the shit out of this boy. No. We promise.
They won't know.
They won't know.
They won't
know about the dinosaur.
Unless you've paused it and gone and watched it. Yeah. You won't know.
You won't know about the dinosaur. Adam and Jane have been stranded on a rocket orbiting Jupiter with no hope of rescue for 3 years. Navigation and comms are down. Resources are dwindling, but they have one lifeline to keep them sane. Each other. Oh, Ben, mate. Reminding me of us.
I know, I did write this thinking of us.
Yeah, with daily activities including but not limited to dance parties, workout competitions. I mean,
that's us.
Win. Yoga.
I do.
Trying to crossbreed blueberries with marijuana. That's you. Tattooing each other. That's you. Chicken races. That's all on me. So on and so forth. Their papercraft world they've built together, full of home comforts, bright colors, and happiness. Because although it's set on a spaceship, it's a papier-mâché spaceship that looks very much like a domestic house.
The daily upkeep of the ship is maintained, and time is dedicated to try and fix the comms and navigation systems, if only to keep them busy. After accepting their fate that no one is coming to save them, like Matt Damon in The Martian, talk of why don't we hook up comes up for debate.
Jane and Adam, after much discussion over their feelings for each other and debating the pros and cons of hooking up, their spouses back on Earth being the main con, they decide to do everything but have sex, under the agreement that it can be called off at any point.
A few hours later, whilst going through the motions of trying to fix the ship, Jane, almost by accident, fixes navigation, allowing them to travel home. And they will arrive back in 3 weeks. No need to continue the whole should we, shouldn't we hook up anymore, right?
I mean, it does make it a little bit.
Yeah, it's delicate ground.
Yeah.
Delicate ground. We've got 3 weeks, and so we're back. Well, after weeks of dissecting the relationship and coming to the realization that they are indeed more than friends, they immediately get to hook it up.
Yeah, they do. Arriving back on Earth where the colors aren't as bright and the daily routine is nothing but a drag, their world's got a lot bigger and a lot lonelier, even after being reunited with their spouses.
Life's a lot different here. No dance parties, no chicken friends, no weird, creepy, murdered skeleton friends.
Right, so they've got there's a third crewmate, Benson, and Benson is just a skeleton in the suit who they've sort of just kept around as somebody to talk to. They're sort of part therapist, part confessor. You know, it's a nice.
It's just a nice confidant to have on the ship when you only have one other person to talk to.
They fulfill the role very much that a lot of priests fulfill. They're just an ear to listen to that's also quite scary at night.
Also, I've heard, and don't fact check me on this, but priests also have skeletons.
No, that's a myth.
I thought as much. I thought as much.
That's a myth, mate. Sorry.
God's the puppeteer, right?
Yeah, they are boneless.
Got you.
Like crabs.
Got you.
Crab priest.
That's terrifying.
That's a horror movie.
I don't want crabs knowing my secrets. That's fucking terrifying.
Thing is, Ben, crabs already know your secrets. That's why they're terrifying.
I'm not okay with that.
I think this breakdown has fully broken down, and we should just admit that we're not going to tell them anymore.
The one thing I'll say is that even though on paper the situation is now 1,000 times better, they're back on Earth.
Yeah,
they're reunited with their spouses, and it is 1,000 times better than being lost in space. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's also 1,000 times better than Lost in Space, starring Gary Oldman. Well, starring's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
he's in it.
He's there. But we're not going to spoil the ending.
No,
because we don't. I mean this from the bottom of my fucking heart. I'm not a rom-com guy.
No.
I'm not big into the rom-com.
They don't need to know
stuff,
about the ghost stuff. Like, that's all.
They don't need to know about the ghosts or the aliens, and they don't need to know about that hilarious situation with the chicken. But it's now on the outside. But does space turn chickens inside out?
Yes, it turns everything inside out. That's a well-known fact. Like, priests are crabs and don't have bones.
Yeah, sounds good. That sounds good. But we're not going to spoil the ending. Let's just get into what the film is, and what it means, what we took from it. Because for me, I'm not into rom-coms.
No?
We got approached to cover this film, watched it through, I was buzzing my tits off. It's one of those indie movies that is so full of charm and heart and soul that you literally you can't help but be won over within the first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair. I think the production design is insane. The chemistry between the leads is good. And I am a rom-com guy. For a good rom-com, set me up. They can, as long as it's a good comedy that happens to be about romance, or a good romance that happens to be funny. I don't like them when they're sort of cliche rom-coms, which is just, I think, a lot of the time used as a buzzword for just lazy comedy. That's kind of neither. It's not really funny. It's not really that romantic. The Switch is a good example. It's not funny.
The Switch is a fucking horror movie.
Exactly, right? Or
go listen to our Halloween episode. It's a fucking horror movie.
Or like Wimbledon with Paul Bettany. It's like, is this really?
Never said
it. I've saved you 2 hours.
Posh sports and a rom-com. Why would I watch that film? You know what I mean?
But this is genuinely, it's a good romance film that's very funny, or it's a good comedy that's about a romance. It's kind of the good side of rom-com. Although it has, you say it's not a horror, but there are some horrific kind of, they're wonderfully underplayed.
Mate, the situation that they're in, the severity of the situation that they're in, right? They're stranded in space. Mm-hmm. They are alone. There is no communication with Earth. Mm-hmm. There's no navigation. They're fucking running out of Pop-Tarts. The pot and the blueberry plant won't cross-pollinate. The dead crewmate is now just a fucking skeleton that they hang out with. Like, these guys are... That's like my worst nightmare.
Really?
Being trapped in a confined space with no hope of being saved. It's just you two, and that's it. Like, I'd off myself in a week.
It's futuristic being buried alive, isn't it?
Yes, that's what it is. It's being buried alive. That's exactly what it is.
Buried alive in space.
You've got that whole, you've got the whole, like, you've got the whole, like, the stereotypical sci-fi horror element of being buried alive in space. Yeah.
Which is present, but it's just totally underplayed.
It's so underplayed, but it's done masterfully well. Because you don't click for a minute or two whilst watching the film, and then it dawns on you all in one go, and you're like, how are they okay? How are they just sitting, eating popcorn and playing chess? Well, like, how are they fine with this?
We joined them 3 years in, right? So I think it's quite cleverly, it's gone like everyone's seen the movie about that first 2 weeks. Everyone's seen the movie about those first 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Benson, the crewmate, who's dead. We don't see that, but it's kind of inferred that they lost their fucking minds, right? So
we get a glimpse of it later on.
And I feel like there's a whole other movie in that, but we've kind of seen that movie.
We have.
Last week, you asked me how I was doing, and I was like, well, the fire's out now. Everything I have is destroyed, but I'm kind of in the post-crisis zen.
I get to sift through the ashes now, start rebuilding.
They're a little bit later on than that. They've rebuilt. You know, they've had their crisis. They've gone, oh my God, everything is ruined. We'll never see anyone again. And they've kind of come out the other side of crisis mode and are just like, okay, we're going to die up here, but we're not dead yet. So how are we going to spend the time we have? And
it's a great concept for a film because it's exactly the sort of shit that I'm left wondering at the end of movies that are just set in space and end harrowingly. Because I'm like, what? What did they do for breakfast? You know what I mean? Like, how did that conversation go? Like in the morning, did they sit down and go, morning, we're already dead. Cheerios. Yeah. You know what I mean?
How many imaginary screenplays did the alien queen write after being blasted out of the airlock?
Exactly. There must be at least 4 sequels to her own imaginary franchise that I'm never going to read, but I'd like to.
And Ridley Scott wouldn't make them either way. He'd greenlight it and then cancel it 6 months later like he did with Blomkamp's.
Bastard. But these guys have built their own little world, which helps them stay sane, you know, comfortable, happy. It gives them all the home comforts. It's set out like space is set out as like a paper mache type model,
all the planets
and you get
are
to
like balloons covered in paper mache.
Yeah. It's all very bright and colorful. The lighting is very spotlighty with like purple ambiance and stuff around. It's just
beautifully soft,
beautiful,
like
beautiful.
Yeah,
but it's a very warm, like inviting place to be. Even in the depths of space, orbiting Jupiter alone with no hope of communication or rescue. You know what I mean? Like, it's still very warm and lovely.
I think there's a point later in the film, which I think you'll get to, but it's essentially, at first it's kind of played off as charm, and then what it actually becomes is it's their subjective way of viewing things.
Exactly. We're viewing their world through their eyes.
And what I love about it is it adds so much of the sort of feeling of being in love or feeling of friendship or feeling of comfort that you get with somebody. And when your set design is helping you tell your story, you know it's good set design, right?
Oh,
it's
1,000%, buddy.
Adding to the script, right?
Yeah.
Weird fact, the set designer on this, not the set designer, sorry, the production designer, Christopher Stoll, also worked on another film. Can you guess which?
Paper Hearts.
I mean, no. Machete.
Okay.
Now, their situation is dire.
The fact that Machete is stranded in space.
Right.
Although the third movie, Machete in space, Machete kills again in space. Where the fuck is that? Get Christopher Stoll on that. That'd be sick.
Well, I mean, we've got 1 degree of separation with that guy now. We should get him get Chris Mercado to ring him up and be like, oi, geezer. I don't know why I've made him Cockney.
Yeah.
He's Puerto Rican via New York, but like, oi, geezer, Machete in space, make it now, you fucking toilet. Would be good.
Yeah, it'd be great. But so the dude who did Machete did the production design on this. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, what a versatile.
What a diverse CV that guy has. Holy shit.
Yeah. Talk about a creative twister. Like, wait.
Yeah.
Where? What?
What do you want? Do you want machete wielding murderer, or do you want quote like calm, cozy, lost in space dance party? What are we thinking?
You'll be able to tell me. There's a Jason film set in space, isn't there?
Jason X. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Don't say Jason film. It's Friday the 13th. Come on.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
There's a Jason film.
I didn't mean to step on your pop culture. Because your pop culture is
so
very
much.
important.
I do.
You.
It's genuinely. That was the most upsetting thing you've ever said to me. Like, we've had arguments before, right? We've fallen out before.
Yeah, well, never.
Never. Yeah, I mean, not like fallen out, but we had our disagreements.
Last chip, yeah.
That's the most upsetting thing you've ever said to me. Isn't there a Jason film where he's in space? Honestly, a part of me just died.
Pop culture is as important to you, almost as important to you as it is to these people. And they're literally trapped in a box in space with.
I feel like I'm the same, except for I'm on Earth. I'm just fucking trapped here.
By your social anxiety, you can't go out the door. It's the vacuum of humanity.
Exactly, the vacuum of people. We were all just fucking wandering out there. I don't know what they're doing. I can't trust that shit. I'd rather be fucking orbiting Jupiter with no comms. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think they would too. And I think so. The spoiler: when the dinosaur breaks out of containment and they have to land the spaceship.
We need to stop this dumb spoiler joke because it's gonna throw so many like we're gonna do too many red herrings and people are gonna go, I'm not gonna watch a fucking dinosaur movie in space.
Okay, fine. It's not in space.
You know what I mean? You're right.
When they come to land on Earth and it's re-entering the and stuff starts shaking and it's they're are we gonna make it and start breaking off the ship. And underneath the paper mache is a real spaceship. And underneath, behind them, all their little cardboard cutout dials and things is real electronics. And it's the
walls shattering, the 70s aesthetic wallpaper starts to crack, the wall crumbles, and you see all the machinery with the flashing buttons and the actual interior of the spaceship starts to come through.
Yeah, and I think it's the home they've built for themselves sort of begins to crack.
Mm-hmm. And the true interior of the ship begins to show, which is just sort of like their last sort of their way of saying the home we've built, all the coping mechanisms we've had are crumbling. Yeah, because now you are not my entire world.
Is that how you saw it?
Yes.
Oh,
and it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking.
Self-deceit is often sort of labeled as a bad thing.
It is.
You've pulled the wool over your own eyes. I don't think it's an accident that these people are literally up in the clouds. Their heads are literally in the clouds, right? They know that they're the last person that they're ever going to see in the world. And so that self-deceit of making it a pleasant, cartoony, paper mache, childlike, simplistic environment is a kind of positive sense of self-deceit. It's a sort of rarely depicted and rarely understood kind of like sometimes a coping mechanism is a good thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think they were lucky in this situation. And the way that this is written, again, it's masterful character development from the way that they have, like you said, deceived themselves into building this little homely place that's very calm and cozy and loving and warm, and everything seems fine. We can paint on the walls. We can have some fun. We can tattoo each other.
Yeah.
We can have races on the bikes and shit. You've got this whole thing where they've lied to themselves to build this home. And then also, on the contrast to that, they've also remained very open, honest, and vulnerable with each other as a sort of support system. Totally. And the balance that they've struck in deceiving themselves to make their own psyche or their own situation feel better, but still being very grounded, open, and honest on the other hand, to be available to the other person to help them when they need it. It's masterfully written, incredibly done.
But I don't disagree, by the way. It's absolutely incredible. But I found the breaking apart of the ship a little bit like them not needing the coping mechanism anymore. And it was like the sort of doubt of they'd wanted to return home. It was everything they wanted. They also had this wonderful thing. And the breaking apart of the ship was a little bit of like a crack in. Suddenly they were beginning to realize how much danger they had been in. Now that they could relax, now that they could go, oh, okay, I don't necessarily need this coping mechanism anymore. You suddenly got that sense of like they can begin to process what they went through and perhaps see that it's not the lovely thing, which totally happens when they do get back and Jane is completely sort of turned around on the loveliness of the world, right?
I mean, they kind of both are, man. When they re-enter Earth's atmosphere and the ship sort of breaks apart and it reveals itself to be just an actual ship. Yeah. They are immediately cuts to them being at a convention.
Press conference. Conference is the word you're looking for.
Conference, fucking convention. Yeah, conference.
They were astronaut con.
Yeah. They're at AstroCon 2022. No, they're at the conference, and everything's grey and monotone and loud, and there's lots of people and flashing cameras, and all of a sudden they've gone from this nice, warm, little cozy world that they built themselves to reality. Fuck, this is reality. This is what we've got to deal with now. And then enter the spouses after they've just been fucking discovering their feelings for each other out orbiting Jupiter.
Yeah.
Now they're back and have to deal with that mess as well as readjusting to like civilian life.
This is one of those films that every time watching it the first time, I was like, oh wow, that was really impressive. What strikes me watching the second time is just the amount of love poured onto every detail. Like every bit of set design, every tattoo, everything about it is just loved.
Yes.
And I think it's a great, it's not a Christmas film, but I think it's a great film to watch at Christmas.
It 100% is a fucking incredible film to watch over the Christmas break. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yo.
You're welcome, Chris.
There's little things like there's a scene with Lionel Richie, which is a huge thing because it's like talking about juxtaposition.
Dude, that made me cry so fucking much.
Like hard-hitting emotions and the barely counts as music that is Lionel Richie just coming together.
We'll refute that all day long. I fucking love Lionel Richie.
No, you don't, Ben.
I fucking love Lionel Richie. I could listen to Lionel Richie all night long.
That is the worst thing you've ever said to me. That's the worst thing you've ever said to me.
I'm not even sorry.
Lionel Richie.
I'm so sorry. Lionel Richie. He's also in Studio 666, and his fucking hilarious.
Is Ready Breck made with water.
Delicious. Nom, 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 nom.
Oh, of course you're a vegan. It makes sense.
I'm allergic to taste, buddy. I'm allergic to taste. That's why I love that Jason film in space.
Jason in Spacin'. They should have just called it Spacin'. I'd have watched it then.
You're such a cunt. I love you, but you are a cunt.
Happy Christmas to you too, bro.
Happy Christmas, buddy.
Before we get the director in, we've had to sort of, do this quickly because we want to get to the meat, which is the man himself, the maker of the film.
The man himself.
The loveliest man.
Yes.
I think one of the loveliest men we've interviewed. But if I was going to say you were going to squeeze this delicious THC-filled blueberry, what juice, what's the first drop of juice that you would give the listeners and viewers to recommend what this film was about?
Okay, you mentioning blueberries brought up the homemade Pop-Tarts. That is another moment where I was in bits. Like I was fucking, this film gets me twice, and it is those two moments that you've just brought up. So that's good. Thank you. My overarching takeaway from this entire film is that it doesn't matter where you are, or what your circumstances are, or the situation that you find yourself in, as long as you have your person or a person that you can confide in and sort of build with, you're in the right place. You found your place. And it doesn't matter whether that's on Earth, whether that's orbiting Jupiter,
I would
about
totally
to die.
Agree. I would totally agree. And I think I'd go one further and say if you haven't found your person, you may as well be outside Jupiter, in space, cold, Christmas, and you're alone. What are you doing with your life? You're going to just put one present under the tree? Of course not, because we're here and we love you. All right?
Yeah, we do.
Give
us
you
presents.
For joining us this Christmas. We love each and every one of you very dearly.
We really fucking do.
Almost as dearly as Adam loves Jane and Jane loves Adam.
Yeah, what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to get Chris in. We're going to chat to him for a little bit about the movie. We are going to play a game with Chris.
It was quite fun.
But before we do that, just one last thing. What are you rating it?
This is a fat 10 for me, bud. And this what's even odder about this is a surprising fat 10. Because some uninformed people out there with tiny, tiny brains have previously referred to me as being cynical. And
that's exactly right, though. It's literally when I said, "Oh, you need to watch this film," in the back of my mind, I was thinking, "Fuck."
So this for me is a surprising 10 because it's just immune to cynicism. If you don't like this film, you're dead inside.
There's too much love in it.
This is ready bread made with cream.
Ooh, no, it isn't. That's fucking rancid for a start.
You've never had it.
Like that's rank though. Cream in a ready bread. Ugh.
Don't knock it till you try.
That's like cream of corn shit. That's rank. Stop being weird. You sing that wrong every time, and it boils my piss. Like it literally.
Christmas to you too,
it makes my kidneys ache with how fucking close you are to getting it. But it's just off. Happy Christmas, buddy. This film has too much love in it, and it's impossible for you to not catch feelings for it.
I'm guessing a fat 10 from you then?
Obviously fat 10. It broke me in places. It made me in other places. I watched this with my partner. We both fucking thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was very cutesy.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of those films. It's incredible. I watched it on my own the second time and the third time.
Forever Alone.
And then again today on the fourth time. No. It's one of those. Every time you watch it, there's something new. Every time you watch it, there's new details. Every time you watch it, you're like, that feeds into this. Oh, this feeds into that. I get it. And it's just not stopped since I started watching it. So everyone, from the bottom of our hearts, we love you more than Santa loves giving anonymous children presents by creeping into their houses like a criminal. It is weird. It is weird. Look at the actual fucking story. It's terrifying. And he's a saint? He's a fucking criminal. I might have just made the naughty list. He is a saint, Rob. He's not a criminal. What is wrong with you? Presents. That's all I'm thinking here.
Let's chat to Chris.
Thanks for reaching out and sort of suggesting your movie as well. Because honestly, buddy, we get approached by a lot of people to watch a lot of films.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's got to a point now where it's almost like, I wouldn't say dread, but you know when you say like, you see like, hey, do you want to watch my movie? And
I'm sure it's dreadful.
Yeah, man, I'll give it a go. And then obviously I saw it was yourself. I did a quick IMDb and I was like, fucking okay. Mm-hmm. And then watched the film and was like, okay.
That's a great reaction. That's like, I'm super happy when people get to see it, you know, because it is kind of like, I almost want to think it's like a hidden gem, I guess, you know, at this point, you know.
For now, I don't think it will stay that way. I really don't. It's got so much charm. And I don't think it's a film that requires... Certain films you need to see the year they came out in order for them to make sense. Yeah. This one, no, you can watch it any time of the year, any year from now, and it will still ring true as just a charming, beautiful movie.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Ben's totally right. We get a lot of stuff where it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, get like half an hour in, and like, it's just they've tried to do CGI when they barely got enough budget to like buy a Big Mac.
The amount of CGI heavy.
We were definitely in like that edge where it was like, oh man, like, can we do this?
But the difference is, right, is you've steered into it and you've got creative with it rather than gone, nah, fuck it, we can just use Premiere Pro default explosion number 3. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's
totally,
like, come on.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it helped too that it was like kind of like a specific aesthetic, like that kind of stop and handcrafted. Oh, my dog is wilding out.
No, that's fine, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably include this in the edit because we're chatting about the film already. One of the things I wanted to ask about was the visual style. So, how much of that was Christopher Stoll, and how much of that was you? Because the visual style of the spaceship is pure perfection.
Yeah, it was a mix of like Chris Stoll, me, and the stop motion team at Chao Studios, you know, like they were like really kind of helping a lot with the design, but it was kind of Chris Stoll's idea to kind of make it like the shape of like a real spaceship, you know, and then like the guys at Chao kind of basically built it out to specifications. Like actually what was crazy about the set was that it was about the real, this is a weird fact, but
we love them.
It's actually the size of a real spaceship, which is crazy. Kind of built out the floor plane to match like the size about of a real ship.
No way.
Yeah, it was super interesting. Like, so you would walk into set and all the rooms were connected and like, and it was kind of like the shape of a spaceship, pretty much.
What I loved specifically about the set is that it's got a real domestic feel to it.
Yeah.
It feels warm and safe and playful and childlike in that way until you have the complexity of the real world.
Totally.
But the visual design totally sold that. It's pure perfection.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
It hit me in a way where it was like they're trapped in space, which is a horrifying situation to be caught in, right? There's no communication, no way home. You're completely stranded out there. And these guys are so comfortable and at ease with each other. They manage to do like Pop-Tart cowboy hats and movie nights and let's move the furniture out of the way and have like a choreographed dance night. Do you know what I mean? It was like being in one of the worst fucking situations I can ever imagine.
Yeah.
But then building your own little world where it is very homely. You've picked the wall decor yourselves. It's not all the bleeping buttons and buzzers. Yeah. It's a nice wallpaper. It's a great couch. And everything is set out like you just said, Rob, like a real nice little homely home. It's lovely.
Yeah, I was definitely like trying to get the warmth there, you know? Like I love that feeling of like you guys said it best, even like just like it's like kind of like when you're with somebody that you like really feel that like spark with. It feels like it's your own world, and then like there's kind of like it kind of tints everything in a rosier color, you know, like the world just feels a little bit brighter almost. And, so it is kind of like, but it's also kind of like about survival, right? Like I feel like we kind of survive by like, you know, going to the things we love sometimes, you know, like I think there's a lot of pop culture in the movie, you know, like they constantly talk about movies, they constantly talk about the music, the things they love, you know, and that's them, you know, and I think that it's a way for them to like kind of make it through as well.
Totally.
You know?
I mean, if you want an example of pop culture as a trauma response, look at the wall behind my co-host. You know, it's just you find the things you love and you cling.
I have a wall that's similar over.
Yeah, man.
Over here, so.
But it's an interesting thing. We're looking at Nuevo Rico, your short, which is fantastic, by the way, and the world seems to agree because we don't have time to list all the awards that has won. But there's a real juxtaposition of like you have ancient gods in a future dystopia.
Totally,
you have a spacecraft, high tech, being represented by paper mache.
Yeah,
and then that terrifying situation in this film of being trapped in space.
Yeah,
you depict by making it incredibly warm and comfortable.
Nope.
Until the record player breaks, and then you're suddenly struck with the desperate loneliness of the situation. It's masterfully done. But what is it about those contrasts? You seem to sort of have a weird kink for marrying complete opposites and then making us look at them.
I do love opposites. I think there's just something really clever about putting like things that are not expected together, making it work, you know? Like you pointed out, I love Nuevo Rico, like that, and that's really astute to point that out. Like it is like old gods with like in a future world, and there's just something about old and new, and it just makes you think about like how those things are actually more connected than we know, you know. And I guess in this film there is something about a desperate situation connected to like almost the best situation, like finding someone you love, you know. And also just even I was really conscious about trying to make space seem something different, because I think like in film we just know space so well. Like we've all seen and digested so many space movies that it's really rare for one to stand out at this point, you know? Like it's not like when Ridley Scott dropped Aliens and like everyone was like, holy shit, I've never seen space that way, you know? Like in a way we've all kind of been like kind of taking from those old movies and kind of just repurposing it or reimagining it. So,
and it has been at least 22 years since 2001: A Space Odyssey. So I get timelines, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like kind of like, like what could you do? Like just mix it up, you know, like try something different. And you know, I don't know if movies are in a weird place. Like I feel like people are having a harder time like kind of making those bold choices in films, you know.
Yeah
I
think there's a horrible middle class removal. Like the middle class movies have gone. You're either an indie or you're Marvel, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that happened with music. Like a lot of the reason I ended up getting out of music is it seemed to me like I was working with people who were like Beyonce level, or they couldn't pay me. Like, that was it. And like making a movie in that environment must be a nightmare. So how did this come together for you from Nuevo Rico? Because this hits above, like this isn't first film territory that you're in. You've got the next Captain America. You've got like
literally. How did you land this as your first like full feature gig? Because it's mental.
I know it's like it was a long process because I kind of spent like a year like getting script submissions, you know, and I was like, there was like kind of a bunch of movie script. I learned a lot during that year because like I found out like not every script is like there's so much bad material, to be honest. Like the issues.
Yeah.
We know.
We get the emails, man. Like,
and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy! Like, this is a vetted script." And this is the first. Yeah, no, I'm being like super serious. That was like so wild to me just to learn that. And I mean, like, you know, obviously, like a lot of like the South by Southwest accolades kind of helped guide my career into like, you know, people kind of paying attention to being like, oh, this guy could probably do a feature film. So I linked up with the producers of this film after reading the script, and they were looking for a director for it because the director they had previously had dropped out, you know.
Right.
So I don't even remember what reason, but
he had to go make Napoleon. It's fine.
So I kind of spent a long time kind of putting it together, like a year of kind of building the pieces and kind of, you know, like working on visual language and ideas and kind of pitching it to people, trying to find financing, trying to find the right collaborators, doing casting. And when me and Mackie first connected, it was really kind of just he was in the middle of building like a shed, which was so crazy. So he FaceTimed me, and like he looks like the man on a mountain. Like he had a beard and like, you know, and he was like in the process of like going to Home Depot to buy wood and supplies. What? And I was like, yo, this dude is like just like he's super crafty. Like it was like so interesting. And we kind of connected deeply on like New Orleans and kind of like the Caribbean, and he was just like he was such a fan of like that vibe, and we were just it felt like in a weird way we were both kind of like these like almost stepchilds of Hollywood, sort of like we weren't people that normally get into the system like that, but like happened to be there, you know. And so I think we found a lot of kinship in that because he's kind of like he's a real dude, you know, like at the end of the day, like, he has kind of like a grounded like vibe, you know. So I think he was just excited to try something different, you know, like he really seemed like, oh yeah, like I've never tried a rom-com, like let me do something new, something unexpected. And his performance in it is incredible. Like I really, insane. I was really fortunate to have him, you know, kind of jump on.
That's fucking crazy, man. How did you go about getting Zoe on board?
Zoe, I kind of like learned about her through the process of casting in this project. Like I hadn't known her before.
Yeah.
And I think like just something about her, the minute I met her, I was like, oh, she is so fucking adorable and charming. And
it's the charm, man. She's got this undeniable charm. I've seen her in interviews in the past, and honestly, it's like everyone can be answering like real serious questions, and then when it gets to Zoe, she just drops these like enormous, genuinely like sweet but almost borderline offensive comedy bombs. You know what I mean? And it's just the fucking greatest thing to watch, man. But she's incredible.
So cool. She's like she's like so cool. Like I was just like, and when I saw Mackie and her kind of do a chemistry read, I was like, oh, like this'll work, you know? Like they're just they already feel like they're gonna be buds, you know? And
because that must be a really nerve-wracking thing, right? So you've got all your ducks are in a row, you've got everything lined up, your financing, your crew, you come to casting and you're like, if these two motherfuckers don't work together on screen, I don't have a film. Because that is the film. It's their chemistry is the film, you know, in so many ways. Was that nerve-wracking?
Yeah, you know, like but you know, I feel like I have a good sense of people. Like I felt like my instincts for kind of knowing when people are going to be really like friendly with each other. Cause like, you know, like I feel like and you know, everyone's a little different, but like I could kind of just tell when they met, like, oh, like they're like really warm with each other and they just met, you know, like I kind of like, and then I like seeing them converse, I was like, oh, if I could just get that on screen, like, you know, I could see that growing over time, you know, like if they kind of spent more time, which, you know, doing a feature, they're going to spend all the time.
Yeah.
And it was cool because as we were shooting it, they started like getting closer as friends, you know, and then like you would see them do like little handshakes and all sorts of like cool stuff together where I was like, oh, they're like getting so close. Like, and so it made kind of like the process, and they're both theater trained actors also. That's like the thing, right? Like, this movie in a weird way kind of plays like a play, you know, because of the setting.
Totally,
and like
just the size of the environment, right?
Yeah. So there's something about like having two theatrically trained actors kind of bounce off of each other that like they just have sharp instincts that worked for this movie really well.
And I think there's that sense as well, you know, I've spoken to a lot of filmmakers and they say, you know, you get movie actors who are very much used to like, give me the lines right now and we'll do this scene. And that's I've just got this one scene in the barrel, right? That's what I got in the chamber. And then you get theater actors who are like, I've got the whole fucking script in my head. Where do you want to go today?
Yeah, which is a crazy skill to have. Like if you just know all of it. But that level of prep is great because then you kind of feel like the person becomes the character more somehow, or like they're just kind of absorbed in it, you know? And like,
well, I guess they know the roadmap a lot more, don't they? So they know where they're going to end up and where they're starting. So sort of to get their character from A to B, then they know that they can they have a little bit more room to play with rather than just, this is the scene, this is what we need.
Yeah, and they bring more to the character that way too. Like sometimes I felt like they would know more about where their character was at, you know, than I did, you know. Like I always tracked, because, you know, I shot out of sequence, so it's not chronological or anything. So like you kind of have to know where the character's headspace is at every time you shoot, which was like something I would just make notes of for myself, even just to know, like, oh yeah, like this is where he's at. Like they're not quite here, but they're here, you know. And I think everyone appreciated that kind of thought process, which is like, honestly, like on set, that's like probably one of the easiest things to forget. Like what?
Yeah. You know, where are we in the film?
Really. It's like, but it's so important actually, like, because like it gives you context for everything. So like, it's like sometimes I feel like people get like, because, you know, there's a lot of pressure in a set. Like you're kind of just feeling like, oh, I have to answer all these things, do all these things, and like you might lose track of like just where the story is supposed to be heading or where in chronology you're at of the story. So I felt really good always having that in my head, you know?
Yeah.
Incredible, man.
Speaking of pressures, I mean, this is just my perspective, but it seems to me like this being a first feature would have added pressures and anxieties that, do you know what I mean? Like, how did you avoid getting out in your head about, you know, it's your first feature, you got Anthony Mackie, you got Chao, like it's got financing. I would have folded like a little paper boy. I would have just like...
you know, it's interesting because I think like it was a long journey to it. Like I think like in a weird way, I was preparing my whole life to make a movie, you know, like, because I was always trying to like make stuff and I was always doing weird experiments. And then I kind of became a commercial director, music video director, and then shorts, you know, and shorts kind of did prepare me, I think, because I was treating my shorts like like really meticulously a lot of times, and I would have pretty big teams on them sometimes, I had, depends, sometimes it was small, sometimes it was bigger. Like I was always pushing to try to get to like feature length. Something that did help me a lot was doing comedy specials, because I was directing comedy specials, and those are like 1 hour affairs. So like, even though they're not like a feature, but they feel feature length, So like, it got me used to like the idea of like working within an hour, like material,
It's just a longer runtime to have to get comfortable with, right? And then a feature is like, it's another half an hour. So what? Like,
like you get used to the length of it's weird. Like it's almost like a muscle. Like, all right, I was doing like 30 seconds. Now I'm doing 5 minutes. Now I'm doing 15 minutes. Oh, now I'm like something that's 30 minutes, and then like suddenly like an hour, and even though like you're not doing as many shoot days, the crew size is about the same, and so like I felt comfortable kind of walking through a film set already, and like that was helpful. I mean, there was definitely challenges, like it's every day you're learning something new, but like I think that's kind of a constant for movie making, because like even if you have thematics that you're kind of bringing from movie to movie over, every movie is kind of different. So new challenge will present itself no matter what, almost, like you're going to just have to learn something new regardless.
My favorite part of this entire film is the massive contrast of being in space in an awful situation and everything being really bright and colorful and almost quite fun and quirky. And then the second that they're back on Earth, everything is gray, drab and flat and monochrome, and the conversations are stifling. And it's like, you've still got Anthony Mackie talking about stuff like, I was trying to crossbreed a marijuana plant and a fucking blueberry to like these old dudes of like in like the White House, and everyone's like, great, thanks. This is exactly what I wanted to talk to an astronaut about. And it's just, it played off so well, and it's you tricked me into being like, oh shit, I should have been really happy for the first half of the movie, and now it's like the sad, depressing bit. But then full circle at the end when they go on the trip together, and it all suddenly becomes bright and colorful, and everything is like warm again. And I was like, I fucking love this. I'm so happy it ended on like an upbeat, because it's like it goes from up here to be sad. And I was like, I was panicking that it was going to stay there. And I was like, oh fuck, maybe this isn't a rom-com. Maybe this is just sort of like a, you're going to meet someone and it's going to be shit.
Oh man, that's real as fuck.
Oh, man. Honestly, it got me so good, man. It got me so good.
I was inspired by like the tradition in movies that I don't know, like about kind of going into two worlds sometimes, Like I think like Wizard of Oz has that famous like black and white to color moment, right? And then, something I would reference a lot was The Matrix, especially when you first saw it, like where there was no expectation of going to the real world or knowing that was like going to happen, and so
you don't realize the entire film is bright fucking green until he kicks out. Then you're like, oh, hang about.
And then like the having two kind of shoot styles for like this, like this is one world, this is another world, and so I really wanted to kind of do that pretty much, like as a way to kind of show the emotion and the feeling, and also kind of like you said, like it makes you miss the spaceship, like you're kind of like, does. You really want to kind of go back to that moment,
Yeah, it's the whole making the best of a bad situation, which they were fucking incredible at. And then you only realize that they were so good at making the best out of that terrible situation when they're in the White House being celebrated, and they get a brief glimmer of it when they have to dance together again. And dude, the contrast between all of those situations is like chef's kiss, like perfectly done, man. Honestly,
no, I mean it's like it is like contrast, like because like you're in a bad situation in space, but it feels optimistic. But then you're in the better situation, which is like Earth. It certainly feels like not that great.
It's a testament to how good that first half of the movie is that when they're coming into land, I was fully expecting the film to end. I was it's going to be ambiguous and we're not going to know. And then there was more film and I was like, fuck, oh God, I don't want to see this. This is going to be really sad. And then it is really sad. And then with Ben, I was like, oh man, I'm not emotionally ready for this.
I was the exact same, man. Like I wasn't emotionally prepped for the actual Earth scenes, man. That it hit too heavy. Like I was like, fuck.
I think I try to like make it feel like as real as in terms of like a relationship like feeling, you know, like when you're like really like I feel like everyone's kind of gone through that at some point in their life where they're like, oh man, I really like this person, or I've fallen in love with this person, and for whatever reason it doesn't like quite fit or doesn't click, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that feeling is really present, I think, in the film, you know, where it's like fuck, like can I make this work, you know? Can it work?
Well, I think nobody wants to start a relationship, no matter how good it feels at the beginning, when they know exactly the things that are going to end it. At the start, you're like, I know these are the things that aren't compatible between us, or the circumstances, and so it's going to be great for like a year, and then we're going to get tired of the reality, and I know what the end is going to be. It's going to be these issues.
I was like really inspired by the Before Midnight trilogy too, you know, like kind of vibe where like it has a similar energy to that, where you're like, you know, like there's kind of like this will they not sort of dynamic, you know?
Yeah.
That's a big hole in my filmography. It's one of those ones people are like, you should watch the Before Midnight trilogy, and I'm like, I will. And then about a year later, someone's like, you should watch the Before Midnight trilogy. I'm like, fuck.
it's like one of those things where you got to be like in the right mood,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
Like you definitely don't want to just watch it and then like, oh fuck, I'm in a bummer mood after, you know, dive you know.
I mean, I fucking recommend films to Rob on every other day.
Like every 40 minutes. About every 40 minutes I get a text. Have you seen Killer Fish 9? No, Ben.
Still not watched it. You know what I mean? He never watches any of them. It's a genuinely heartbreaking thing. You mentioned music videos earlier.
Yeah.
I've been an unknowing fan of yours for a little while.
Oh, no way.
The Cool Keith and MF Doom video for Superhero.
Oh, yeah. I love that thing.
Right before I was sober, was fucking obsessed with it. It was like, if there was ever a moment where I was like flying a little too high, it's the perfect song to calm you down, but the visuals on it are fucking incredible to just suit the mood that you're in already, man. What was it like working with Cool Keith? I'm a little bit obsessed with him.
Oh, it was kind of a mystery vibe, you know? Like he's kind of like I've met him in person like several times, and he's just kind of like in his own world, honestly. Like he's just kind of like,
imagine that though.
I feel like MF Doom and Cool Keith both are like mystery vibes. I mean, R.I.P. MF Doom, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate that I got to work with him, you know, before his passing. But like,
yeah.
Cool Keith is like he's just cool as shit, man. Like his name implies. He just has this like history and this vibe with him, and like but he's very low key, you know, very low key, you know.
God, I'm so jealous. It's actually unreal.
I was really blessed, man.
Man.
That was a cool experience. That was a crazy video. I have a weird story for that video because I was basically like doing commercials and music videos at the time, and I got offered like a promo for Game of Thrones, like season.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it was like season 6, and I turned down directing the promo to direct the low budget music video. Just because I was like, choice. That's way cooler.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like it's like it was cool. I don't know, like it's almost like one of those fans where like I kind of just gravitate towards the fan I gravitate and just go fully into it. So like even though I was like kind of like, that was a wild experience because they didn't have any money. So I was like, I asked a friend who like had a studio if I could just stay in his studio and work, and like he had a render farm, so I would just render stuff in his farm.
Amazing.
And I was on the box myself, like doing a lot of the work.
Nice.
It was wild. Like I spent 3 months like just like fine noodling and making stuff for that. And
Jesus,
it was really wild. It was a weird time in my life. I would just like smoke a ton of weed, go to this office, have like stay there till 2 a.m. Like it was like
fuck, that's
but
incredible,
it led to a lot of cool things, man. Like it led that video put me in touch with so many people.
I think that's the thing. I've got to ask, how was working with Doom? Because I worked with MF Doom, and it was the longest I've ever waited for a client. He was 13 hours late.
Luckily for me, like Cool Keith was like more in charge of the situation.
Okay, wicked, yeah.
All I kind of understood from MF Doom was like that he liked to get paid in cash.
Yes, yes, he does. Yeah,
so it was like you would have to give him his part of the money, like on an envelope, like stuff with money, and I was like, that is
sketchy.
Yeah. I fucking love that so much, though, man. I think all the brand deals that we do going forward is all in cash in an envelope
full of cash.
What I love about Cash Deal, because it was the same thing. I couldn't leave the studio because we had this fucking manila brown envelope full of cash for MF Doom. So I was like, I need to go, and they're like, you can't.
Dude, that's so real.
Cash, right?
That's exactly, that is wild. Yo, vanilla envelope full of cash. Is that just on his writer? Like,
it must be. And so I'm there.
That is like exactly how he got paid on the video too. Like, but it's from my understanding. Yeah,
it's fucking anxiety inducing because you're just like, what if I lose this cash? Like, this is like, am I gonna have to pay MF Doom? I can't afford that.
Dude, that's so wild. No, he's a legend, man. He's like so talented, so crazy. Yeah, he was always. I like those hip hop artists who are like shrouded in mystery. Like that was such a cool vibe. Like, does that happen as often anymore?
No.
Not really. No.
It's the thing I used to miss.
Social media fucked everything up.
Yeah, I'm like a big metal fan, and I really like the band Tool because for the first 5 or 6 years of being a fan, I didn't know who the fuck they were because there was just no information. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, here's what I had on toast this morning. I'm like, I don't fucking know that. Just
like The Weeknd when he first started had like those first 3 albums,
right?
The balloons, and like you didn't know his face. Like it
brilliant.
It was just way more mysterious, Now he's on The Idol with a rat tail.
Oh man,
God, man. It doesn't fill you with confidence, does it?
So one of the plot points in If You Were the Last is that they've got that little collection of movies that they've had to take with them, right?
Totally.
And so our question for you is, if you had to pick 3 films to take on a spaceship on a tiny paper mache cassette, what are your 3 ride or dies for films?
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Nice. Nice.
Terminator 2.
Yes.
Nice.
No. I should have thought about this before this call. I'm just flipping them out. You guys sent me the question, but
we'll edit it down for time. It's fine.
Yeah.
Third movie, man. It's always tough to pick one.
Right?
Probably I would say maybe something that's infinite. Oh, Back to the Future. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
But I feel like that's an infinitely rewatchable movie. Like I almost could just put it on anytime and not be sick of it somehow.
Yeah.
I think there's films as well where you can enjoy them as a film and then you can enjoy them as filmmaking, right? You can marvel at how well they're done. And so even if you're tired of the story, you're like, look at that fucking, like Jurassic Park. You can just go, look at that fucking, look at they did that. 1993, like it's incredible. Like, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. How is How the Grinch Stole Christmas on there? Is that just...
It's just a goofy answer. I don't know. It has cool prosthetics. There's it's got like a heartwarming vibe. Maybe it's just the holiday season. I'm like thinking a lot about it.
Dude, I think The Grinch is a solid Christmas film, man. Like...
Yeah,
if you're stuck on a spaceship, it's going to be Christmas, once a year.
It's like if you're stuck in a spaceship, you can pretend there's like a holiday.
Exactly.
Maybe it would be a tie with like Nightmare Before Christmas, so I could have Halloween and Christmas and one.
True. Okay, so
2 for 1.
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
I think there's like both. You could play it both, and I think it'll work. You know, like that's just the brilliance of it. That it's like it's cashing on two holidays. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Die Hard, is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
Good.
What about The Thing? The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing.
John Carpenter's.
Oh, really? Is that during like Christmas?
I think it's during the holidays, isn't it?
It's in the Arctic, Ben.
It definitely has snow.
It's definitely got snow. I'm taking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that movie. The Thing is so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I found out that there was a movie before The Thing that's like an older version of it, sort of, but it's not really like a direct sequel or anything, but it's like
it's what John Carpenter based The Thing on. So it's
the 1950s one, right?
The 1950s one where they find a creature in a block of ice and then they decide to put an electric blanket over the block of ice for some reason.
Yeah, and they burn him alive. And there's that scene where he just burns everything. Like,
honestly,
I fucking love 50s sci-fi. I love the bullshit decisions 50s sci-fi characters make.
But it's all justified because even that film existing, I think the most amazing fact that I got from that film is that electric blankets existed in the 1950s. And I didn't know about them until at least 2010. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's crazy.
1950s horror, what's cool about it, I think, is that maybe we didn't know enough about the world back then. That like people kind of like flew like off the seat of their pants with the science and like the ideas, you know, and now in a weird way we're confined to like knowing so much about the world that like we're not like we're like, oh, how do we justify this or that?
Yeah. Well, this is what's kind of ruining creature features for me at the minute. We're sort of in a weird cycle of like the creatures are always from outer space because we don't know anything about outer space. But you go back to the 50s and you've got ants or them, which is just giant ants.
Creature from the Black Lagoon. He's just in a puddle.
Yeah. You got Earth versus the Spider is hands down one of the greatest movies that exists. They murder a giant tarantula, put it into the school gymnasium, and then just put a red velvet rope around it and then have a prom that evening around an enormous dead spider. It's the greatest film that exists for that exact reason, because no one sat down and thought, that's mental. Maybe no one would do that. Because back in that time, everyone would do that. That's fucking incredible.
The closest thing that I feel like in modern era that feels like one of those movies, it's like The Mist, maybe, you know?
Tremors.
Tremors.
The later Tremors are goofy as shit.
Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
I can't watch that. I've watched it twice. I can't do it.
You mentioned earlier having been sent some vetted scripts, right?
Yeah.
And we can totally cut this and by all means censor any of this, all of this. Can you think of any particularly wild scripts that you've read where you're like, what?
Oh man.
Like what's the wildest thing you've read in a script? You're like, this isn't a film.
I read a remake that I was just like not feeling at all.
Okay. A remake of what?
I don't want to say.
Oh, okay.
Fine. I'll get in so much trouble.
Yeah. We don't want to get you in trouble.
But I'll just say that, like, I was right.
Wait, did the remake happen?
It did.
100% Universal Pictures The Mummy. I'm just calling it now. It's The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
I saw it and I was like, damn, this is wild, and it was not good. And I don't know, man. You could just tell from the script, you know, like it was just weird. I mean, you could tell on the page, you know, but I'm not like completely against a remake per se, but I think it's gotta be justified by the time, you know, like how is it relevant to today, you know, like not just a cash grab sort of remake, but like you're kind of either adding to the mythos or you're adding something that's relevant to now, or even in the best case scenario, it's like it's more relevant today than it was before, you know, like
totally.
That's like a cool remake, you know, but just the random remakes are like weird, you know.
There must be so much of that. I mean, I remember listening to Kevin Smith talking about Superman Lives and the whole giant mechanical spider and how that ended up getting used in Wild Wild West.
It got used in the movie. That's got to be a surreal experience for him, like to watch a scene that he scripted years ago.
Yeah.
Fully made, but like in CG, like, you know, like so bizarre. And Nicolas Cage, who we've never seen as Superman other than like concept photos.
It's the biggest crime of the 21st century by a long shot. I think we're being robbed.
Tim Burton is so good. I mean, it would have been cool to see him do both Batman and Superman. Like, you know, like, that would have been so interesting.
It's a natural fit for Tim Burton because it's a film in which the character has daddy issues, like every fucking Tim Burton film.
Yep. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It would have just been like emo Superman, like, I'm not from this earth. I don't belong here.
Just brooding on top of a mountain in a rain, sort of like throwing boulders down to just be sort of like, fuck this place.
Yeah.
You don't understand me.
I'm going to my fortress of solitude.
Kansas is too small for me.
Someday I'm going to leave this town and I'm going to be somebody. It's Buddy, you're fucking Superman. All right. You can be anywhere and be somebody.
Oh man,
I want to see that film.
Funny.
Yeah,
he goes to Metropolis to pursue his like burgeoning art career.
Oh my god, yes.
He does experimental photography on the side.
That'd be fucking incredible. So, like every episode, we tend to play a game at the end of the episode. I was wondering if you wanted to play a quick game. Okay,
I'm
cool.
Down. Yeah.
So it's called Sloppy Synopsis.
Yeah.
And what I've got like a few sort of, sloppy synopsis, and you just guess the film.
Oh, I love this. This is great.
So the first one is dreamy men manage to turn other dreamy man on a trans-Pacific flight.
Dreamy men turn
dreamy men manage to turn other dreamy man on trans-Pacific flight.
Oh, this is we've covered this, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Is this Christopher Nolan?
It is Christopher Nolan.
Oh,
is this Inception?
It is Inception. Yeah.
That's a great sloppy synopsis on that. I forgot a lot of it happens on a plane.
Yeah, it's all like isn't it like from Paris to America?
Yeah. Totally spaced on that.
Okay, number 2 is kooky private investigator aces his entrance exam into a lunatic asylum. Oh. There's a clue in there. He aces his exam.
Aces
his entrance exam into a lunatic asylum, and he's a kooky private investigator.
It's not Shutter Island.
No.
Oh,
that would be too light.
That's a good guess, though. Shutter Island.
One of the clues is Snowflake has been kidnapped. Another one is they're looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts.
Oh, Ace Ventura?
That's the one. There you go.
Oh, I forgot that he goes into an insane asylum in it at some point.
I've never seen the films.
You've never seen how I tell you to watch these on a weekly basis.
Yeah, they've got Jim Carrey in them, and he's
it's starting to hurt now. You know what I mean?
I'm
taking it personally.
I would rather swallow razor blades than watch Jim Carrey.
Awful.
In anything that's funny.
Awful.
Drama, 100%, but...
Okay. Number 3 is 2 philosophical hitmen discuss burgers whilst driving a car.
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah, that one.
Beat me to it.
I was like, quit.
A former Jedi goes on a murderous rampage in Paris.
Former Jedi.
Yeah, this one's stupid.
In Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Alec Guinness.
It's not.
It's not Mark Hamill.
It's not. Would you like a clue?
Yeah.
He has a particular set of skills.
Oh, Taken.
Taken.
Oh, what the fuck? I forgot. Yo, that's a good one because you forget Liam Neeson was a Jedi.
To be honest with you, buddy, I forget the prequels, so like that one stumped me.
I feel like he's the least like like affected by Star Wars fandom out of all. Now that I think about it, you know what I mean? Like
he escaped like clean. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, you know what it might have been? Because his look is so wildly different than what he looks like.
Yeah,
like, he's got the long hair, the beard.
That's it.
And then and then like afterwards, he's just clean shaven. And it's like, oh, no one needs to associate me with this character.
Okay. This one's super easy. Man has ball on a desert island.
Man has ball on desert island.
Castaway. That's the one. Locals angry after Japanese immigrant moves to New York to start a family.
What?
Godzilla.
It is Godzilla from 1998. Okay, I've got two more. They're both Christmassy because obviously this is our Christmas episode.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
'Tis the season. Everyone gets a little horny around Christmas time.
Oh.
The fuck?
It is.
Is this theatrically released or is this on an orange website?
That's like 20 Lifetime movies or something.
Right.
So this is honestly, I don't understand how this is a Christmas film, but it's a British film. Hugh Grant is the Prime Minister.
Oh, Love Actually. Love Actually. Yeah.
All right.
That's
horribly unhealthy relationships.
Yeah.
That movie, people watch it a lot though. It's like it stayed in the culture for like a long time.
It's like a British household tradition that it is on every fucking Christmas day every year. It's crazy.
People watch it here a lot too. Actually,
I think it's making a Christmas movie is a lot like making a Christmas single. You either have a paycheck for the rest of your life, or you have a project you just never talk about.
Look how Mariah Carey's career is.
Right, exactly. Like every Christmas, she gets that nice Christmas check. She's like, mwah, 3 turkeys this Christmas.
Movie though, I really, really fuck with a lot. Elf. Like I think
Elf is the one, man. Elf is the one. Jingle All the Way is another one. Jingle All the Way. It is a terrible movie. But it's fucking incredible at the same time.
Shit film.
Yeah, but it's so good because it's so bad, though.
Yeah.
All right, I've got one more slappy synopsis, and it's the easiest of them all. Recluse turns green with envy at the fun people have with Christmas.
Oh, the Grinch that stole
Christmas.
Hey!
There you go, man.
What the hell? That came full circle.
Full circle, man. Honestly, when you said it earlier on, I was like, I fucking got something for this later, mate. I fucking got something for this later.
Chris, we're out of time, but thank you so much for coming on. If You Were the Last is an incredible film. We've spent 20 minutes to half an hour before you came on telling every single one of our listeners to just watch it twice.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
It's fucking excellent. What have you got coming up that we can shout about for you?
I'm working on a musical. Eventually I'm doing the Cheech and Chong biopic, which I can talk about a little bit.
Yeah, nice.
That's gonna be cool. Fucking incredible.
Yeah, stoner comedies, man.
I fucking love the Cheech and Chong movies, man.
Yeah, Up in Smoke.
Oh my god,
they're just like classics, like
Up in Smoke is like my teenage movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was on repeat, man. It's incredible.
Yeah, so I've been like jamming on that, and I think there's other stuff I'm trying to work on, but that's the really big one that I can kind of publicly
incredible. Well, we'd love to have you back on, and we will push the hell out of it because
thanks, man.
We love your film. We love you. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to talk to you.
Oh, honestly, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. We'll chat to you soon, buddy. Take care, man.
Soon.
Bye.
Guys, that's it. That was the Christmas episode. We are rapidly approaching the new year. I just wanted to take a moment to say Merry Christmas. A little shout out to all our friends and family, the D&D group, my nephews and nieces, brothers and sisters, Anthony at Cineworld, legend. But everyone, support's incredible. Merry Christmas to you. Be safe. I don't know. Tell your family you love them. If you do. If you don't.